The Catholic Echo podcast is a weekly podcast discussing what's happening now in the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Bishop David Bonner and members of our diocesan community discuss your burning spiritual questions. The Catholic Echo podcast is produced by the Communications Department of the Diocese of Youngstown with support from the Annual Diocesan Appeal. It can be found on catholicecho.org, Facebook, and YouTube. Your host is Denis Biviano.
Hello and welcome to the Catholic Echo podcast. Each year, the Catholic Media Association hosts its annual Catholic Media Conference, this year in Phoenix, Arizona, June 24th to the 27th. I attended last year in Atlanta. It was a great learning and networking experience. Joining me now to talk more about the organization and awards is the Executive Director of the Catholic Media Association, Rob DeFrancesco. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, it's so great to be here with you. Thanks for having me on.
You started as a board member, a president, now executive director of the Catholic Media Association. For our listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself and the organization, which has roots that date back more than 100 years.
Yeah, thank you very much. My journey really began with Catholic journalism as a newspaper editor for the Catholic Sun in the Diocese of Phoenix, Arizona. I was drawn to the work there because of being at the heart of the church's mission, telling stories that mattered to people of faith in our community. Then over time, just my love for communications, it was more than just like a job. It was like a calling. It was a ministry. So this realization really took root during my years leading diocesan communications in Phoenix, where every day just really offered an opportunity to communicate and to communicate hope and truth and unity in the church.
And this year, of course, the awards take place in Phoenix, where you previously director of communications in the diocese, as we mentioned. Now, is this kind of a full circle moment for you?
Maybe. The Catholic Media Conference is really the biggest event that the Catholic Media Association puts on every year, and it's just a great event for our members and for those who are adjacent to the church and communications. And so every year, the Catholic Media Conference travels to a different host diocese. And so the way we do that is, we try to move it around to different regions just so we can make sure that we're showcasing just the vibrancy of our church throughout North America. And the local bishops, they invite us in. And so this particular year, we were just so fortunate and blessed to be invited by Bishop John Dolan of the Diocese of Phoenix to be present there. And it gives us a great opportunity to work with just the outstanding staff and team at the Diocese of Phoenix. Gives us the opportunity to really showcase and highlight just the beautiful southwest region of the United States and all that it has to offer culturally and professionally. Yeah, I guess you could say it's like a full circle moment. It's just a really cool thing to be able to do that. The last time a conference was in Phoenix was in the 90s. And so it's really good to be able to bring this to the Diocese of Phoenix.
Just the planning alone, I could just imagine, just from your team's perspective, what all is involved, and how many people are you expecting this year?
So a lot is involved. It really is an all year round kind of thing. It's made possible by just an amazing group of committee members. Every year we have this national planning committee that's made up of a dozen people that chair it and help develop it and generate ideas and put really just so much love and passion into it. And we team up with the local host diocese, and they provide people to sit on that committee for a year or two. And it's just a really good, cool, collaborative effort that, it's a lot of hard work, but, it's always just so gratifying to see just the end result where people come together, a reunion of sorts every year. So it's really a cool thing to see. This year, we're expecting to welcome, I'm going to say probably about 350 people. So we keep seeing our numbers of people increase year after year over the past 4 or 5 years, coming out of a couple of year period there where we were not able to be together in person for a couple of years. We had to do the conference virtually. But now we just continue to see this rebuilding and this rebirth of just, people want to be together. And so we're happy to be able to facilitate that.
That's great to hear. Now, well beyond, winning awards are nice. But for those attending for the first time or those returning for the conference, what do you want them to take away from those 4 days in Phoenix?
Really, what we are able to offer is professional development, networking, collegiality, and like you said, the awards, that's a celebration of all the good work from the past year. But, the workshops are really dialed into what the needs are of our members. And so, we'll see a lot of stuff on journalism, on AI, on communications, on business and advertising, and other forms of digital and social media. So, really what we do, a lot of that committee work that I was mentioning before, they really seek to identify what the needs of our members are. And we do our best to bring in people and tailor our breakout sessions and our workshops and our master camps and our speakers to really address the needs of the church and communications through the church. That's what we're all about as an association, is helping the church communicate better through Catholic media, evangelization, and just bringing people in and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. So how we do that is the committee, again, they see what the needs are going to be going down the road. So that's really the takeaway, is just like making sure that we're all together on the same page and pointed in the right direction.
Now, our own Father Jim Corda winning the Lifetime Achievement Gabriel Awards in 2023. I guess how hard is it, narrowing down all the entries, between podcasts, between parish letters, books, putting together feature stories in print as well. How hard is that process?
This is another area that I'm just so grateful for our members. We have committees that not only, like I was mentioning a second ago, putting together the conference, but we have committees that really work hard on developing the awards programs every year. And so they work from August through November, and they meet a bunch of times, and they look at what the awards program is offering as far as different categories, what the needs are, what are some things that maybe can be retired. Yeah, there's always just such heartfelt, just love and passion and volunteerism from our members to make all that stuff happen. And then we have an amazing group of judges who really kick into gear, I would say probably in March of every year. And they look through all the award entries, and they spend a month or so divvying up, different awards categories. They devote a whole month to judging all the different entries. And then it comes back to Catholic Media Association team, where we put all this stuff together and help recognize all the award entrants.
What are some of the most challenging things you hear from folks in Catholic media? And at the same time, what are some of the most rewarding parts you hear?
The challenges that many of our members face is it's a very ambitious group. People do this for the love of the church and for communicating and for journalism and for media. And so the challenges are always, how can we do more than what we're doing now? And how can we do more with fewer resources? And so it's always just a matter of we've just seen the evolution of media over the past, 20, 25, 30 years, coming from a strictly print history, right? And then emerging into different forms of media, making sure that we're meeting people where they're at, whether it's through websites, newsletters, digital media, podcasts, making sure that we're going to be able to do all the things that we want to do, because we know that the people who make up the church, they have preferences as far as how they read or consume or listen to stories that matter to them. So, for example, in the Diocese of Phoenix, when I first started working there, I worked as the newspaper editor for the Catholic Sun newspaper. It was strictly a print product at that point. Then we expanded it to having a really cool website. And then Bishop Olmsted at the time, he was the Bishop of Phoenix then, he tasked us with, really expanding our reach as a communications office. And so not only the newspaper, but the broadcast, the live TV mass, and then welcoming in Catholic radio into Arizona, and then developing local programs for that. So we built a radio station. And then the natural extension from that, obviously, was podcasting, and then social media, and built a video studio. So we had content that we could provide through YouTube and other social platforms. So really, it's just my experience with our members is that we just have a strong passion for communicating the gospel message, and how do we continue to build and keep doing that the best way possible. So that's really what the CMA is all about, and the CMC, just trying to make all that stuff accessible and giving people ideas and tips on how to do that.
Where can folks find out more information about Catholic Media Association?
Great question. So the website, CatholicMediaAssociation.org, will take you right there. You just Google Catholic Media Association, and it'll bring you right to us.
Very good. And last question, 4 or 5 days in Arizona and Phoenix, how do you survive the June heat? Any tips for our crew of 4 that are coming up?
Well, first, we can't wait to see you. We can't wait to welcome you and everybody to Phoenix. It's going to be hot, sure. But inside, God willing, the air conditioning will be blowing cold. And so the tips really are to stay inside, to hydrate, to bring sunscreen if you venture outside. I would just say follow those tips, and everyone's going to have a great time.
Rob, thanks so much for taking time here, and we look forward to Phoenix.
It's been a real pleasure. I can't wait to see you. Thank you.
Rob, thanks so much for your time, and our communications team looks forward to this year's conference in sunny Arizona. Coming up after a short break, a panel discussion with our communications team on the Catholic Media Conference and Awards. Keep it here, much more to come when the Catholic Echo podcast returns. It's time for Patron Saints of the Diocese of Youngstown with your Bishop, David J. Bonner.
St. Peter was called from this life as a fisherman to become one of Jesus' 12 apostles. After the ascension of Jesus, Peter led the growing community of disciples until his martyrdom in Rome. He is recognized as the first pope. He is a patron saint of popes, Rome, fishermen, net makers, shipbuilders, locksmiths, as well as St. Peter's School and the Basilica of St. John the Evangelist and St. Peter Parish in Canton. Feast day of the Seat of Peter is February 22nd. So happy Feast of St. Peter to our friends in Canton. St. Peter, pray for us.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in Northeast Ohio? That is more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions, as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information.
The Catholic Echo magazine is delivered free of charge to anyone who is registered at a parish in the Diocese of Youngstown, but subscriptions are also available for non-parishioners. A subscription costs $40 per year, and you can buy one for yourself or gift a subscription to a loved one. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org for more information.
Hello and welcome back to the Catholic Echo podcast. For this next segment, I'm joined by two fellow members of our communications team, Katie Wagner, the editor-in-chief of the Catholic Echo magazine, and Meagan Farrell, our communications manager, hoping to discuss some memories of last year's Catholic Media Conference and Awards. Thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Dennis.
All right, Meagan, let's start with you. You attended this event and have in years past as well. What did you take away from last year's events in Atlanta, Georgia?
One was getting to follow up with Father Ricky Minalo, who had been here for our ministry day previously, and he was presenting on AI. So that's an interesting discussion that we're kind of starting in the industry, and it was great to catch up with him. And I would say also the other benefit that's come out of it wasn't a session I went to, it was what you and Bob went to on Catholic social media.
Yes.
And so thanks to those discussions that started at the conference, we are now using that tool that's now available for free to all our parishes and schools. So those are a couple great things that came out of that.
And I remember around this time last year, we were sort of rolling out the new DOY.org, so I know that's something you take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, that was a very large project we did with 898 Marketing. And so, you know, as we've submitted awards for this, they definitely are included in those submissions. And we did submit that for a potential award, DOY.org, for 2024. So, yeah, it's been a major overhaul, and we're still adding features all the time.
And we also have a pastoral letter from Bishop Bonner that has been submitted for award consideration. He's also working on one that we hope to put out soon.
Yeah, his second pastoral letter, he won for his podcast with Father Corda about practicing faith, hope, and love. And then the next one is going to be about the Sacred Heart. Katie,
same question to you. Can you tell us about the experience as well as some of the awards you and your staff brought home last year from Atlanta?
Yeah, sure. I've been to 2 of these conferences now. First was in Baltimore and second was Atlanta. You know, I don't remember what the offerings were when we went to Baltimore 2 years ago, but that was right after we launched the Echo. So I was focused on anything I could find, you know, as far as magazine publishing and production and, you know, Catholic magazine writing and, all of those sorts of seminars. But last year, one thing that I took advantage of, and like I said, I don't know if it was there the year before and I just didn't notice, was more of like the business track, because that's something you don't really think about when you're running a magazine, budgets and advertising and, all of the things that need to go into the business end of running it. That has been super useful because, when you come from an editor background, you're focused on AP style and storytelling and that sort of thing. But I found that to be really helpful last year. Also, the AI stuff was fascinating.
Yes.
I don't think that I really ever thought about AI, especially from an ethics standpoint in Catholic ethics. And that definitely gave me a lot to think about. And the fact that AI is actually being used in journalism,
Yes.
and even in Catholic journalism, found that very fascinating. We have not done any of that here at the Echo, and I don't know that we will, but it was an interesting topic.
I've dabbled with it a little bit as far as questions or the verbiage, since I'm still kind of new at this.
Yeah, definitely.
Just something, but it's definitely fascinating as well. And, I also want to touch on some of the challenges you believe folks face in Catholic media, and also in another regard, what are some of the things you're most proud of?
I think we're all dealing with different deadlines. Media in general, even outside of the church, is sort of shrinking and changing and moving. And, it's hard when you have things, like I can say from my standpoint, I have a magazine that goes to print, a month before it's in people's hands. And so when things happen, like the death of a pope, you've got to rely on partners like OSV who have the more timely news, but then that's not going in print. So that's definitely a challenge. But I'd say I am proud of how we as a team have been able to adapt to those things. We have 2 marvelous websites, which last year we actually did win second place for the Catholic Echo website. So that was shared between, the communication staff and the Echo staff in 898. But we got second place for best media package there on the website. So we're able to put all that timely information there. We can kind of point to it in the magazine. Certainly there's room to improve, but I think, we're always adapting, which is good.
Adapting is a key word for you, too, with the website. And, if there are parish changes, you're constantly working on things.
Yeah. Another big thing that we've done that isn't necessarily a category in the media awards, but is just the back end of taking our directory from completely print to online first, and then, printable comes out of what's online, and just making that information accessible to people in a timely way. Because as soon as we would put the directory to print, it would be out of date. So now we just email out a printable version of it instead of doing a mass printing once a year. So that's been a big workflow change for us as well. And the podcast, there's so many ways that we've tried to adapt to different formats. So it's been exciting.
It's been a fun evolution process this year. Knowing that it's only been around since November 2023, I'm very happy to be a part of it. Just one more question, Katie. You, myself, Colin, one of our hosts, and Bob are representing the diocese. What are you looking most forward to this year? Is it the seminars? Is it the networking? What are you looking most forward to?
I always look forward to the seminars. I feel like every year the Catholic Media Association is always trying to come up with something new. Granted, I've only been there 2 years, but I haven't noticed that there's been a lot of overlap in what I've seen from year to year. There are always interesting speakers. I think that that's going to be lovely. And the awards are always fun to look forward to. I always love to see if Bishop gets the award for his column, because I think he does such a good job. But, we're super blessed at the Echo to have an amazing team of photographers and staff writers and freelance writers. And so we were able to submit in a bunch of categories this past year, because really 2024 was our first full year of publication as a magazine. So, we were able to submit cover photos and feature photos and columns and all sorts of stories. And we had some really good ones last year. So I'm hoping that we see some wins there too.
I can still remember that picture of us all holding up the award certificates that we posted on Facebook, and I can't believe that was last June in Atlanta. Wow, does time fly.
Oh, man, I know.
Well, Katie and Meagan, thank you so much. That's all for this week's episode of the Catholic Echo podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, CatholicEcho.org, or your favorite podcasting platform. I'm your host, Denis Biviano, and on behalf of our communications team, thanks for listening, and have a blessed week.
The Catholic Echo podcast is a production of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Have a blessed day, and may God be with you.